Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to finish up our procedural PHP login registration system. So what we have left to do in this video is we need to auto log people in if they have the cookie. And then we also need to clean up if they log out and they also have the cookie, we need to go ahead and delete that cookie. If they log out, we don't want to auto log them in on repeat. So we're going to go ahead and take care of that in this video. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this chapter. And I know that this application doesn't really do much, but hopefully you're learning how to put together the HTML, the CSS, and the PHP that we've learned to really start to create something that didn't exist before. And that's the beauty, I think, of coding, is that you are creating something that doesn't exist. So let's go ahead and switch over to our screen. Go ahead and make sure that your server is up and running with XAMPP. And then also we're going to go ahead and fire up Mailhog. So we'll do the ~go/bin/mailhog. And once that's running, it says that it's running on port 1025, and then we can visit the inbox at port 8025. If you have all that up and running, let's go ahead and get going. So what we're going to do is we're pretty much just going to be in this functions.php file. And so all we have to do is scroll up here to the top of this, and we are going to call, right after this define login cookie, just go ahead and call a function right here, and it's just going to be called auto login. Okay, we haven't created this function yet, so we're going to have little red squigglies there, which is fine, but this is just going to get called every time this functions page is loaded, which will be on every one of our pages. So this, after the login cookie constant has been defined, it will call this function. So we're going to go ahead and create that function. So scroll down right below your login function here, and let's create a new function. This function is going to be called auto login. Alright, so now that should get rid of our squigglies up here, and it did. So we do have the auto login function working. But now we have to go ahead and do the auto login stuff. So first thing we need to do is we need to check to see if they have the cookie on their browser. So if you logged in on the last video, you'll have this cookie set and the value will be here. So let's go ahead now and check that out. So what we can do is we can do an if statement, and we're going to use a built-in function for isSet. And what we're doing is checking $_cookie, which is a super global given to us already by PHP. And in fact, what I'd like to do before we do this, let's just go ahead and use our dump and die function here. And we're going to dump out that cookie, $_cookie there. And if we refresh, you can see here that we have our session ID cookie. And we also have this cookie right here. Now this cookie right here is the key that I set up for the login cookie, and then here's the value. So indeed we have two cookies on our page here. I do want to check something. If I go here to let's say register. Okay, good. So there we go. We do have those cookies no matter what page we're on. We have both of them, our session ID and our cookie that's saved here. So that should match right what's shown right here in the inspector. All right, so now that we know that that cookie exists, what we can do is use some built-in PHP stuff. So I'm going to create an if statement, and we're going to use an isSet. And what we're looking for is $_cookie. And we called that cookie, there was a constant set up at the top of this file called login_cookie. Okay, so if that's set and it's not empty, oops. So if it's set and it's not empty, $_cookie, and we call that login cookie. So if that's set, then what we're going to do is try to log them in. So we need to look, remember in our database we stored a row that had the same hash and the fingerprint. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead now and find that. Go ahead and set up cookie is equal to $_cookie, and then we call that login_cookie, and then we'll go ahead and grab the fingerprint while we're here. So fingerprint is, remember this was $_server, and then that was http_user_agent, and that's all uppercase. So we have the cookie and the fingerprint. So then what we want to do is we want to find this by the hash. Now we could find it by the hash and the fingerprint, but I think that fingerprint's kind of a bigger, let me check that in the database real quick. So let's look at the structure. The fingerprint is a varchar. So we could do that. I think what we're going to do is, let's just find it by the hash and then check it. So we'll create an SQL statement here. So we'll create a variable for SQL. And we are going to do a select star. This time we're going to check in our from sessions table. And we're going to say where hash is equal to question mark. Okay. The next thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and do our binds. And we only had one, inside of our prepared statement here, we only need one bound variable, or parameter rather. And we're going to bind the hash, or we call that cookie, right here. So this will get the hashed cookie. So we're going to bind that right here where the hash is equal to. We're going to find that in the database. So let's go ahead and do that now. We'll say result is equal to query SQL, and we'll pass in our binds. And then we're going to say that our session is equal to MySql fetch assoc. We're going to pass in our result there. And now we have a session. So we need to figure out if there is indeed a session and if that session matches. So what we can do is we can say if session and, so double ampersand, and session fingerprint is equal to our fingerprint up there, then we can auto log them in. So what we're going to do here is we will do $_session, and we called that login_session, and we're going to set that equal to the session user_ID. Oops, that goes on the outside there. So this user ID is a column that's stored here in this sessions table. So we're finding it by the hash. We're going to make sure that the fingerprints match after we find it. And then we're going to make sure that the user ID, we're going to set that in the session. Now, if you remember when we did our login function, that's pretty much all we had to do there, is set that login session equal to the user ID. So that's the same thing we're going to do right here, is set the login session in the session, the PHP session, to the user ID. Now this is the user ID that we stored inside that session row in our sessions table. So this is checking if there's a cookie. If there's a cookie, we grab the fingerprint and we find from the sessions table where the hash is equal to this cookie. And then we're checking if that session does exist in the database and that the session fingerprint is equal to our fingerprint here, which is the server HTTP user agent. If that matches, we're going to go ahead and log them in. Okay, so that will auto log in the user. So let's go ahead now and go back to our page here, and let's just go ahead and go to the index.php, and it says hello Curtis because I'm logged in. But now let's act like we had closed our browser, or somehow our PHP session got destroyed. So I'm going to highlight that and delete that PHP session, and I'm going to refresh. And now you can see that it looks like nothing's changed, but it did create a new PHP session right here, and it also logged, because of this cookie here, it had logged me in. So let's see what happens now if I delete that cookie and I delete that session and I refresh. it takes us to the login page because we're no longer logged in. So let's go ahead now and log in and hit stay logged in. And now we can delete our PHP session as many times as we want, and it's going to create a new session, but it will auto log us in each time, and it's still, we don't have to type in our email and password. So our auto login is working as expected. The one thing that we will need to do though is when they log out, if they click log out, we don't want to keep this cookie here. We want to go ahead and destroy that cookie. So that's really easy to do. All we're going to do is expand our log out function now a little bit more to do just a little bit more work. So all we have to do inside that logout function is check if that cookie exists. So we're going to say if is set $_cookie, and we called that login cookie. So if that's set, then all we're going to do here, well, we want to clean up the database too. So let's go ahead and grab it. So we're going to say hash is equal to $_cookie login cookie. So that will be our hash. So now to delete all those rows from our database, let's just create an SQL query, and we're just going to say delete from sessions where hash is equal to question mark. And then we will use our binds, and we only need to bind one parameter, and that will be our hash. And I need an equals, an assignment operator there. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and run that query. And that running the query, we're going to pass in the SQL and the binds. Now we're not returning any data, so we're just going to type true there to just do the execute only. And then, so what this will do, this part of it, when they hit log out, it's going to look in the database table, and any database table that has the hash of that cookie that's currently logged in is going to delete that row. So it'll delete this entire row. The next thing that we want to do is delete the cookie on their browser. But unfortunately, PHP doesn't have a delete cookie method like this. So what we need to do, it's very simple though, is we can set a cookie. So we'll use the same set cookie method that they gave us. And the key for that was our login_cookie. And we're going to set the value to an empty string. So that's going to get rid of the hash. But the other thing that we're going to do is we need to set an expiry. So if we set the expired time, we're just going to use the time, and then we'll do a -1. So what that's going to basically do is take now and subtract 1 second from it ago. So it's going to set this cookie, but it's going to set the expired time to 1 second ago, which will make that cookie expired, which will remove it from the browser. So that's literally all we have to do. We need to test this and make sure it works. So let's go back now, go to our site. We can see the cookie still exists in the inspector. We can also see that the row is still in the database in the sessions table. So let's go ahead and click log out. And when we log out, we can see that that cookie has disappeared from the browser. Now, if I go back to the PHP MyAdmin, and by the way, I should mention this more. To get here, you just type in localhost/PHP MyAdmin, and then in your database, you just click on the table. So then we'll click on the sessions. Ooh, and unfortunately, it did not remove this. This could have been an old one. So let's go ahead and delete this. We'll try it again. I'm going to manually delete that, and let's go now and log in and try the whole process over again. We'll stay logged in, hit login. It creates this, so let's go back to our sessions table now. All right, we have the sessions table, so this hash should match. And now if I go back and log out, B82E, okay. If I hit log out, it removes that cookie. And then inside of here, if I refresh this, it removes the only row that we had for the login sessions. So now it cleans that table up, and there's no more here. So even if I was logged in or whatever, if that was, the cookie was gone and the session got removed, it would force them to log in again. Okay, so again, what we're going to do here is let's let's log in. And hit stay logged in. And just double check. We got our cookie. It says hello Curtis, we're logged in. If I delete my PHP session and refresh, it'll create a new session, but it auto logs me in. So I'm still logged in. If I log out, it removes that. And if I go to the database here and refresh, we have no rows in that table. All right, so that is working. What I'd like to do before we just wrap up is go through the entire setup process one more time to make sure we didn't break anything. So we're just going to do a sanity check here on our application. So let's go ahead and register a new user. This time I'm going to register the user Jules Parham. And he is parhamjules at mailinator.com. We'll give him a password and a confirmation password here. Type something wrong there. Let me try again. There we go. And then in MailHog, he got an email here, and it says, please verify your email by clicking this link. So I'm just going to copy that link address. We'll go back here, paste it there, and we'll visit that. And now it says your account has been verified, so please log in. So let's just go now to the users to make sure Jules is indeed verified, and he is, because that is set to 1 instead of 0. And then we'll go ahead and click login. It takes us to the login page. And now if I type in Parham Jules, we'll put in his password. Or let's say he forgot his password. We need to test that. So we'll go to reset password. And we're going to put in Parham Jules there and recover password. We should have gotten an email here in our inbox that says reset your password. And that is set to 762117. So I'll copy that, paste that in here. And then it takes us here to reset our password. So let's give him a new password. We'll hit reset password. And now we should be able to log in with Jules. We'll go ahead and click stay logged in. And then now it says hello Jules. It creates the cookie right here in our browser. And if we go to our sessions table, we have this session with our fingerprint, and this user ID is set to user ID 12. And if we look at our users table, that user ID does match this 12. So we do know that Jules is logged in properly. If I log out now, it will remove that cookie, and also it will remove the session from the sessions table. And then let's just test logging in Jules without remembering me. It should log us in. It does log us in, but it does not set the cookie here, and there should not be a session in the sessions table to match that cookie. So that is all good. If I refresh now, Jules is still logged in because he is stored in this session, this PHP session that is stored right here as a cookie. So we'll go ahead and log out, and we are good to go, guys. We have completely wrapped up this chapter. I really hope that, you know what I'm going to do too, is I'm going to go ahead and throw this whole completed work, the code base, I'm going to throw it on GitHub or Bitbucket or something, and I'll put a link in the description of this video so that if you have any errors, you can go ahead and look at my code on GitHub and compare it with your code, and then you should be able to find any errors, but try to figure them out yourself as part of the learning process. But I hope this chapter has been awesome. I think this was kind of fun to build out this. We're going to continue on learning a few more technologies that we need to learn, and then we're going to continue in this series by building a more complete application in PHP, and we'll use some JavaScript, and we'll use everything that we learned up to that point to build a CMS, which will be a blogging to write blog articles. We'll create that, and then we'll continue on from there, guys. So I hope you are enjoying this so far. Please comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what this is doing for you. I hope this is a blessing in your lives. Have a wonderful day. Peace out.